Hey everybody, I'm Marc Dunham, chef for the Atherton Hotel and the Ranchers Club here on OSU campus. Now, I don't know about you, but after a long week, the last thing that I want to do when I get home is spend hours and hours and hours cooking. So you got to set yourself up for the week so that when you come home, you're only spending a couple of minutes and your family still gets a good meal, or your boyfriend or your wife or whoever you're cooking for, or just yourself. So we're going to talk about really easy and quick tomato sauce. So grab your canned tomatoes and your stock pots and get ready to cook tomato sauce right here on Play With Your Food. All right, welcome back everybody. I am joined today by Phil Wheeler, HRAD student and saute chef for us at the Ranchers Club. How's it going, Phil?
Going good.
Thanks for
some sauce.
Are you? Thanks for taking time out of your swine flu schedule. You've been
Yeah,
sick?
I'm much better now. Much
Good.
better.
Good. Well, let's make sure you get your fingers in every food thing that we're cooking.
That's
today.
what we're gonna try.
All right. So today we're going to talk about basic tomato sauce. So I don't know how you feel about it, and maybe you're probably a little bit more adventurous than me, but give yourself some years and maybe you won't be. When I go home, I don't want to stand over a stove for hours and hours and hours because I want to spend time with, my friends or my daughter or something. I don't know how you feel about it, but do you like to cook all the time when you're at home now still?
Not all the time, but
Yeah.
I like to get a head start so I can be ready for the week. So
That's, kind of like we do in the restaurant is we always have to get ahead so that when you guys come in and eat dinner, it doesn't take us hours and hours and hours to put the food on the plate. So just like we do in the restaurant, we're going to talk about that while we do at home. So generally on Sundays is a good day for me. I like to get ahead by blanching vegetables like we talked about last time and getting a couple of things ready. And one thing is tomato sauce for me because it's good for you, it's versatile, and it's easy to do. So let's get started with basic tomato sauce just like we do in the restaurant. So we're going to slice up some onions and slice up some garlic. And the most important thing about this really is to make it neutral and not flavor it too heavily on one side when you're making the base so that when you get home you've got this big batch of tomato sauce that you can take all different directions. So we've got a pot here that's been warming. We're going to pour in a little bit of olive oil. You can use canola oil. We talked about that in the first episode about which oil to use. You can use canola if you like as well. And you're just going to warm that. These onions that Phil just cut are just kind of a 1/4 inch slice. You can do a small dice if you want to. That doesn't really matter either. And again, like we talked about, being neutral is one thing. Being completely unflavored is another. So we're going to season the onions as they go in and let those cook down. Now we're going to do tomatoes, onions, and garlic because, well, that's how I do it at home. That's how I like it. You can, if you don't have onions, you just want to do garlic and tomatoes, that's fine too. But if you're going to do, if you're going to do onions and garlic, it's important to get your onions in first and let those cook for a little bit. Because if you put your garlic in with your onions and you walk off or you leave it in there too long, you're going to get burnt garlic, and burnt garlic turns bitter. And once you get bitter into a sauce, you can never take it out no matter what you do to it. You can add sugar to it, you can add vinegar to it. It's not going to come out. So that's why we like to let these onions sweat down a little bit first. So just like last time, we're going to imagine that those have cooked for about 5 minutes. And what you're looking for is for them to become soft and translucent. In goes the garlic. And when we're cooking garlic, depending on the temperature of the flame, this is about at a medium flame. You're going to want to constantly stir and not let it stick to the bottom. If you have it on really low, you can afford to walk off for a minute or two. All right, so we're going to imagine again that this is cooked for about 4 or 5 minutes and it's nice and soft. And in go the tomatoes. These are just standard canned tomatoes that we bought at the grocery store. You can get crushed tomatoes, you can get chopped tomatoes, you can get whole peeled tomatoes. You have a preference?
I like the cherry tomatoes that we use at the restaurant.
Those are good too. I think if I don't have access to like peeled cherry tomatoes, which are these guys, and we can put those in too. If I have to choose between diced tomatoes at the store or whole tomatoes or crushed tomatoes, just in terms of time, I like to get the crushed tomatoes because they're the whole plum tomato with the skin off and they're already crushed down, so you don't have to worry about blending or anything. All right, so these tomatoes go in. We're going to turn up the flame just a touch, and then we're going to start working on all the variations. So I'm going to put just a little bit more sauce in here. Did I just say sauce in here?
Yes, you did.
Salt.
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 Not sauce.
Don't be
I've already
confused.
got the sauce.
Okay, so salt goes in. I'm going to move this to the back burner. Let me borrow a towel. And while that is simmering, because that's going to be our base, we're going to start the variations. Now the variations you can use with a lot of different things. The first thing that we're going to do is just a basic kind of spaghetti sauce that you would do at home. Now you can use basil, you can use oregano, you can use any kind of herb that you like. We're going to use oregano today. And so the easiest thing, just imagine that you've come home and you've got your tomato sauce in the fridge and you're looking to make spaghetti for your family. Well, in goes a little bit of olive oil into the pan. In goes a little bit more garlic. That's a little bit warm, so I'm going to let that cool down. You can see the heat coming off of there. Let that cool down just a touch. In goes the garlic, and since that's so hot right now, I'm going to go ahead and add the tomato sauce very quickly so that the garlic doesn't burn too much. Okay. Now that we've got the tomatoes in, you can tell how hot that was by all the heat evaporating. So now we've got our base tomato sauce with onions and garlic. In goes the oregano. You can chop the oregano or you can leave it whole. I prefer to leave herbs like this, especially soft herbs like this, just whole. All right, so this is going to cook for maybe 5 minutes. And what you want to do is make sure, go back and add a little bit of salt. And we're going to add just a pinch of, instead of black pepper, it's kind of a crushed red pepper. It's a crushed red pepper variety from an area in France. It's called Espelette pepper. It tastes very similar to crushed red pepper. So we're going to make that a little bit spicy. That'll just simmer for literally just a couple of minutes. And we'll talk about the second one, Chipotle cream sauce.
All right.
So the same basic tomato sauce, but we're going to add a little bit more of the onion. So get some olive oil in there. This pan's not so hot, so we're in better shape. A little bit of onion, a little bit more salt because you always want to get your seasoning on your vegetables. That's going to cook down. How about that cumin?
Cumin.
We're going to add a little bit of cumin seed. And he added just a couple of pinches. It was probably like a quarter of a teaspoon. So it wasn't that much. In goes the tomato. That's coming again from your base sauce that you've cooked earlier in the week. We're going to add a little bit of seasoning to the tomato. You notice that every time I put something in the pan, I'm putting a little bit of salt. That's because then I know where the seasoning lies with the whole sauce instead of waiting till the very end to put all the seasoning in. So every time something goes in, I put a little bit of salt. So now we've got cumin, we've got the base sauce. We're going to add a little bit of chipotle, which is a jalapeno that is smoked and dried and then preserved in an adobo sauce. So instead of adding the whole pepper, which is going to create a bunch of spice, we're just going to add the adobo sauce to get the flavor and not necessarily all of the heat. So as soon as that starts to cook down, we're just going to give that a stir. And this doesn't need to cook forever. The adobo sauce and the tomato sauce, those are all seasoned up. But you can notice now that it's starting to change a little bit of color. It's not going from bright red. It's got a little bit of that brown tone from it. That's the adobo seasoning. So that'll simmer, again, for maybe just a couple of minutes. You want to set up the blender?
Blend this guy?
Yeah. This is this kind of sauce with all of the chunks and the adobo sauce and the cream that we're going to add to it. I really like this particular sauce blended, and it's a little bit more smooth. And you're asking, what's this sauce good for? Anything that you want to do with any kind of south of the border flair, whether it's chicken or some sort of casserole. This is a really good base tomato sauce for this. So this is simmered for just a couple of minutes, which is all you really need. Try not to spill all this. In goes the blender.
In goes the sauce.
In goes the sauce in the blender. That's what he's here for, to correct all my speech. Try not to do that.
So do you want to add the cream while we're blending or afterwards?
While we're blending it, like right when it's smooth, and then we'll add just a little. We don't want to make whipped cream.
Right. think we're about there.
Okay. And the reason we're adding the cream is because the tomatoes are acidic and the chipotle is a little bit hot. And so we're going to add cream to kind of cool things down and round it out. You weren't supposed to add that much cream. I'm just
How much I would add.
So that is done. All he's going to do, just like normal, is go back
Just
and
not spill this all over myself.
go back and taste it. Should I have brought somebody else?
Yeah.
Go back and taste it and make sure that it's got enough seasoning. I like this sauce with cilantro a lot of times, but by itself is just fine. So,
Got good heat.
all right. Now we've got 2 sauces ready. If you just want to pour those on the plate, just so people can see them, just pour a little bit so it doesn't run all over the place. And we've got a little bit of tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, or any kind of pasta sauce with garlic, onions, and herbs, and it took almost no time. And now the last one we're going to do is very similar to the tomato sauce for the spaghetti, but it's a little more rustic in that it's got some chopped olives. These are geisha olives, but you can use any olive. I would recommend go to the store and buy some sort of olive with the pit still in it. That's going to be a good indication that you're buying an olive that actually tastes good. If you buy olives, just the standard kind of California black olives or green olives that are sliced at the store, all they taste like, no offense, and I'm probably going to make somebody mad, is a watery mess. They just don't have any. They don't have any of the olive flavor. So find any kind of olive in a bottle that's got the pit in, and you'll be in good shape. All right, so we've got a pan warm. We come home. In goes the tomato sauce that we made on Sunday. And a little bit of salt. And I like a little bit of acid in this particular sauce, so we're going to add a little bit of vinegar. This is balsamic vinegar. That gets stirred around. Notice how that changes the color drastically, just the balsamic itself. If you like red wine vinegar, you can use red wine vinegar as well. We've got olives. These are already cooked. Here's the good thing about olives, but it's also the catchy things about olives, is once you add olive or Parmesan cheese or capers or anchovies, you're adding salt, so you want to be careful about how much salt you add. A little bit of olives, a little bit of the chopped rosemary. This is just going to get stirred around for literally just about a minute. And the reason I like this sauce is for roasted meats and things, like you have roast chicken or some sort of roast beef or pork.
Yeah, I love beef with tomatoes is great for me.
One, you'll get a different depth of flavor too with the olives and the vinegar, so it won't just taste like tomatoes. All right, so literally that's going to simmer for a minute because we don't want to keep cooking and keep cooking.
Just trying to reduce it a little bit, get everything hot so you don't have just a watery sauce running all over your plate.
Yeah, you don't want a bunch of water running out, so we're going to take some of, like Phil said, take some of the water content out of the tomatoes. And that is pretty much it. And again, you can serve this with beef or chicken or any one of those types of meats. The rosemary that's coming off of this, the scent of it's really, really nice. And that's also part of the beautiful thing about this particular sauce is just the rosemary itself. You can go back in and garnish with a little bit more chopped rosemary, a little bit of chopped parsley, but in any case, you got 3 sauces here, all based on one sauce that you made on Sunday that you can come home, spend a couple of minutes, set yourself up, and your family's going to get some delicious stuff. What do you think?
I love it.
That's all he's got. He loves it. Well, thanks for joining us, and join us next week right here on Play With Your Food.